Hey guys, Chicky to Maine, Deboo.com with a Deboo.com forecast update. This forecast update effective around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, August 24th, 2017, and lots to talk about today, guys. It looks like we are going into an active phase, and it almost gives the appearance as a hyper one. So hopefully you'll stay tuned for the full forecast update. Please keep in mind, although we prep for this video, we do it on the fly. Start you off with the latest out of the National Hurricane Center, 7 a.m. Central Daylight Time advisory on Tropical Storm Harvey. National Hurricane Center calling for Harvey to intensify into a Category 1 hurricane by Friday, making landfall in southern Texas by Saturday and lingering around till Tuesday. After Tuesday, lots of uncertainty remains, so be sure to visit the National Hurricane Center at hurricanes.gov for all official watches and warnings. There are hurricane warnings and tropical storm warnings now in effect. If hurricane warnings, tropical storm warnings, or watches are issued for your area, please heed the advice of your local, county, and emergency officials. Again, please visit the National Hurricane Center at hurricanes.gov for all official watches and warnings. Do not take anything that you see from this video as the gospel. Start you off with a satellite still imagery now. Tropical Storm Harvey over in here in the western Gulf of Mexico, just north of the Bay of Campeche. We also have 92L Invest again. Very interesting that yesterday the sites that tagged 92L Invest had gone away yesterday. They took it away. They left the floater active, NOAA did yesterday, but then late last night they put the eye back for Invest back on the map, and they had put it off the West Florida coast in here where we had been posting on our social feeds. We thought that's where it was going to be. 92L is forecast to cross over the state of Florida up in here towards the Outer Banks. You can already see it starting to project in here off the Outer Banks, starting off as a gale and then intensifying as it moves off towards the northeast. Now, you folks up here in the northeast that follow us on our feeds, it looks like this is going to be an out to sea. Big swell coming. We'll talk about that in just a few moments. But if you look over to the right, here is what appears to be, and I can't verify it at the moment, but this looks like old what should have been 93L Invest. And when you look at the flow like this, wrapping up like this, area of low pressure develops here, crosses the state of Florida, gets off the central Florida coast, pulls up to the Outer Banks. This is going to wrap up as it goes like this. So possible major swell event continues, guys. If the current model, the European model, verifies, we could see seas in excess of 40 feet southeast of Nova Scotia. We'll show you that here in just a few moments. Going to switch you back over to the Gulf of Mexico. Current max seas right now with Tropical Storm Harvey are at about 13 to 15 feet. Latest 48-hour forecast out of the National Hurricane Center showing seas increasing to 28 feet, possible max 30 at landfall, guys. This is a very dangerous situation, and Harvey has the opportunity to become a record breaker, breaking the United States major hurricane drought going on 13 years, and has the possibility of making a landfall as a Cat 3 or higher along the Texas coast. Again, please visit the National Hurricane Center at hurricanes.gov for all official watches and warnings. Switch you over to the latest 72-hour swell forecast, surfers. Now, there's some uncertainty here as well. We'll talk about that as Harvey may end up moving back into the northern Gulf of Mexico. That'll put in a strong pulse of westerly swell, and that's what we're seeing right here in the models. I know looking at some other people's social feeds yesterday, they're talking about how Magic Seaweed or some of the other sites were showing, 6 to 8 foot 1 minute, and now 2 to 3 foot, and it has no bearing on the accuracy of those websites. What it has to do with is the change in models in the run-to-run on track, because previously, 3 days ago, the models were showing that the system was going to move back over the northern Gulf of Mexico. Yesterday, the trend was to keep it over Texas. We're back on with the possibility of it moving over open ocean again, up in here towards Louisiana. And once it gets up in here to Louisiana, the southern half of the semicircle, putting in strong westerly swell aimed for the West Florida coast. Gonna switch you over now to some previous image, guys. Now, I promise you, there's a method to our madness in what we see. In some discussions that we had over on our social media feeds, there's some people that think that we're a jokester because of stuff that we post, just like this. Now, we posted this on August 20th. This was 92L Invest, ancient rainbow warrior sign. The gorilla is in the room and has the eye of go. Let's talk about that for a minute. You can clearly see that this is a face of what appears to be a gorilla, right? Let's look at the eye of go. Look at that. And he's got his mouth shaped in an O. Okay, for those who have seen our post on O is coming, letter O, OH, that's significant as being a dot on the map as a tropical cyclone. Okay, and eye of go stands for Gulf of Honduras, and that's where current Tropical Storm Harvey had crossed from the Gulf of Honduras across the Yucatan Peninsula and now into the western Gulf of Mexico. Switch it to the next image, because we just posted this 2 days ago, and this was the latest Euro for Thursday, August 31st. We're 7 days away from this now, but when we first saw this, it put a kitty cat face. That's what popped out, so that's what we drew. We drew a kitty cat face. It now appears that we're going to have a Cat 1 over in the western Gulf of Mexico with the possibility of breaking the major U.S. landfall hurricane drought. Also appears that we will now, with 92L, have at least another Cat 1 hurricane moving away out to sea up in here southeast of Nova Scotia. That would be this as it pulls up. This was another area of low pressure. We'll show you the changes in the models. And then it now also appears that the current wave, or the wave behind the current wave off the African coast, is now going to develop into at least a Category 1 hurricane. That's 3 Cat 1s or higher, guys, in this period. I promise you there's a method to our madness. Take you over here to last night's image. We posted this 8 hours ago. We'll switch back over to Harvey. Okay, we said Harvey is well on his way to becoming a hurricane and still dealing with two issues. The tail coming across the Yuke and upper level low of days ago. And what we meant by that is when you look down here towards the southern side of Harvey, you'll see that the clouds are pulling over the Yucatan Peninsula. It's not pulling over water. But once that changes, which it did this morning, we now start to get drafting over the Bay of Campeche. And what that means is you've got this circulation like this that's traveling over water. It was traveling over land. It can't pick up moisture unless there's convection due to thunderstorm activity over land to pick up in the system. Now it's drafting moist air into the system, and that's how it's getting all of that moisture, because the base of the tail was over land now yesterday. We showed you that here in this image. And then now this morning, look how that line has moved off the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula. So all of that is now being wrapped up into the system. You can also see convection starting to fire. Now, mind you, this image is probably 3 hours old, but how convection is starting to fire around the center. This is a key indication at the early stages development of eye wall formation. The next image, this is the southern half, and what happens is, so you've got the Yucatan Peninsula is right here. This is the Bay of Campeche. You've got the flow like this. You've got vorticity spins. A lot of people will argue with me about that, but you have vorticity spins in here. It's clearly defined, okay? Another one right in here, and this is getting sucked up into Harvey on this backside, and you'll see convection is starting to fire in here. This is aiding in intensity. Switch you to a broader view, a little bit wider view, so you can see the whole system now. So the circulation is like this. I don't know if you saw TropicalTidbits.com, Levi Cowan. What an excellent explanation that he gave yesterday in his video. Just incredible information that he provided. But you can see how this is starting to wrap up. Switch back over to 92L Invest, guys. Again, as far as surf's concerned, Panhandle surfers, West Florida surfers, we'll be updating on that. Please, prayers for the people of Texas and possibly Louisiana. Regardless of category, it looks like historic flooding is going to be taking place as Harvey goes along. Now, here's Invest 92L Invest. Now, again, interestingly, yesterday they pulled the Invest off the sites. The Invest was down over here towards Andros Island, and then magically late last night, they put the Invest back in over here, okay? And if you look closely, you can already see a little vorticity spin off the central Florida coast. The official forecast for 92L out of the National Hurricane Center is the area of low pressure to cross the state into central Florida waters and then lift up towards the Outer Banks. We were talking about that last night. And then for those who saw the Get the Milk, Get the Bread tweet for Texas that we posted 2 days ago, they're not the only ones who may be going to the store for Get the Milk, Get the Bread. Now, I meant that for our followers up in New England. Again, the pattern says that it's going to be out to sea. But just like we don't know what's exactly going to happen with Harvey, we don't know exactly what's going to happen with 92L Invest. This is 92L Invest inside of 5 days, I think, showing a gale just off the Outer Banks. This is inside of 7 days now, intensifying into what should become Tropical Storm Irma or Hurricane Irma. And look where the Euro, this is last night's run of the Euro, puts Harvey. Puts Harvey back over water, then up to Louisiana. Panhandle and West Florida surfers, this is what we were talking about. Now, it would need to be a little bit further south to create some stronger west-northwest fetch aimed at West Florida. I would tell you to stay tuned to Gulfster.com for all your surf forecast, for your local surf forecast. We'll be posting up on this as well, but for right now, stay tuned to Gulfster.com for your info. This is just inside of 10 days. Look at the rapid intensification between that and that. This is known as a meteorological bomb that's going to take place if the model verifies, and it looks like it's going to verify. We've got Nova Scotia in here, Newfoundland right in here. You folks need to be wary of this system coming. 92L Invest, you could be the ones, get the milk, get the bread. If this was to verify, we could see seas in excess of 40 feet, major swell event category as strong northeast fetch. Like we posted 4 or 5 days ago, that's going to be South Florida surf through the Bahamas and through the Republic of Dominica and Puerto Rico, guys. And in the bottom hand corner, here comes what would likely become Jose coming out of Africa. Now, this image is about an hour old. So here's 92L Invest, bottom left-hand portion of your screen. Again, if you look closely now, you can see a little bit right in here, but the flow is like this. This is why it dictates it'll probably be out to sea. Moving up in here towards the Outer Banks, already telegraphing what's going to happen. And again, here is what looks like what should have been 93L Invest. All of this is going to wrap up. Here's another image. This is even more recent. Again, here's that area that we were tracking yesterday. It started on the East Florida coast. It crossed over yesterday evening, pushed out into the Gulf of Mexico. This is where this is designated as an invest. Forecast to cross back over the state, lift up towards the Outer Banks, and start to wrap up. That's a gale developing here in the next 96 hours. The next thing we'll talk about is this vigorous wave that moved off Africa the last couple of days. It's not this one that the models are suggesting that's going to develop. It's the second wave behind. As surfers, the surfing rule is, at least for me, never take the first wave in the set. Take the second one if it looks good. If you know the third and fourth are coming, that's going to be big. This looks to be Jose in about 3 to 5 days. We'll be watching for the 2 p.m. update out of the National Hurricane Center. They should at least put a yellow cone coming off Africa at the 2 p.m. update. Going to switch you over now to the latest wind forecast out of windy.com. This is starting you off on Thursday. Tropical Storm Harvey over in the western Gulf of Mexico, Bay of Campeche. And this is starting to produce some swell already, guys. But it's got to get up in a little bit northern latitude for panhandle surfers. So the flow is going to be like this with the ocean wrapping in. And a lot of times when systems like this get in here, because you get this strong land interaction with the swell wrapping like this, it can help induce more and stronger swell going up into the panhandle. Advance the model for you going into Friday and then into Saturday, landfall into Texas, Harvey. But look here, east of North Florida, here comes the wrap-up with 92L Invest, gale developing, seas likely increasing 15 to 18 feet. Let me pull this down. Going into Monday, 92L increasing the pressure gradient. Check it out, guys. This is winds gust of 45 knots. That would be 35 to 45 knots. If the model were to verify by Monday, this would likely become Tropical Storm Irma or a strong gale because it may not have closed off yet. For surfers, it don't matter whether or not it's got a name or not. Big swell coming. Next Tuesday, moving up to the Outer Banks, strong northeast to east fetch aimed directly at Outer Banks. This is going to create some big problems in here. Harvey, back over open water. Here comes the big swell event, or the possibility of it, for you guys over here in the Gulf of Mexico. Move you over into Wednesday. Sorry, guys, trying to get through this video here. And look at it, over Louisiana. Look at Harvey spinning away, and this is probably seas in excess of 20, maybe 25 feet, and strong west, southwest, and then south swell. Obviously, for surfers, the onshore flow, you're not going to have a good time there. But look at this monster, guys. That's the gorilla. The ancient rainbow warrior sign for gorilla. That's a gorilla swell, and it is getting ready to pound and ground. Move you into Thursday, out to sea, guys. Pray for that. Hope nobody gets affected by this because, look, this is winds in excess of 65 knots, Cat 1 hurricane, but the overall dimension and footprint of this system says major swell event all over it. Think about this in this sense. Think of a dime. Think of a 50-cent piece. How much ocean would move if this was a dime versus this 50-cent piece? Lots of ocean getting ready to move. All mariners along the southeast U.S. coast all the way through New England should pay close attention to the progress of 92L Invest. Going to bump you out to Friday now, guys. And we're probably going to leave it right here to cut this video short, because after that, we get into negative swell production. This is all out of the west in here, so that's going to kill it. But look what we got over here. Possible Jose, and this is setting up this way, okay? Area of low pressure in here, forcing water down this way. High pressure like this, taking the swell and wrapping it in here, and this magnifies that. This would be long period swell heading our way. Looks like waves for days, guys. Stay tuned to our social feeds for all of our real-time updates. That's Dadabuh on Twitter, Dadabuh, Dabuh Surf on Instagram, and Dabuh on Facebook. Stay tuned for all of our updates. Prayers to all who may be in the path of what's likely to become Hurricane Harvey over the next 72 hours or so. Stay tuned for the update.